Thanks. My name is Keulemans. As just said, I'm from the University of New South Wales and currently also I'm a resident artist at Jam Factory here in Adelaide. I'm a researcher but I'm also a practitioner. I design objects and things and I'm very interested in repair, and that's what I'm going to talk to you today about, and in particular transformative repair. What is transformative repair? Well, I think it's quite well illustrated by this work by Jan Bormann, who goes around cities in Europe repairing damaged buildings with Lego blocks.
Oh yeah.
Or this jumper, which was accidentally put in the wrong cycle on the wash and became too small, and she modified it so that it would then fit properly. The headphone jack on this smartphone was broken. And this is another nice example. It's a moth-eaten old rug that was repaired with a bright blue coloured thread. So it's repaired, it draws attention to itself. It doesn't try and hide itself. But that's not sort of the conventional way that we often view repair. For example, if you smash your car and you take it into the garage, they'll try and repair it so that it looks like new. And of course there's particular reasons why this happens in some industries like the automotive industry, but I think the problem is that it has the capacity to reassert a problem of hyper-consumerism, and that is the fetish for box-fresh, scratch-free, shiny products. The idea that we always want something new. It kind of reasserts that principle. But if you look around the world, that's not always the case. And I think these examples of monoblock repair, monoblock being a very cheap mass-produced chair, really disrupts our perception of the disposability of products. It has a completely different idea of the value of products and resources. So in my work, I like to try and disrupt things as well. I had this old chair, for example, which was a little bit broken, and instead of fixing it conventionally, I decided to cut it in half and turn it into two chairs. This is a more recent product of mine. It's vases that have been repaired with photoluminescent blues so that they absorb sunlight during the day and then in the dark they'll glow. Of course, this is influenced by a fantastic Japanese craft called kintsugi. And this is the repair of broken ceramics with urushio, which is a kind of tree sap, and gold or silver leaf. It's fantastically delicate, it's very highly esteemed in Japan, and there's an aesthetic that the Japanese have called mono-no-wae, which is the appreciation of the beauty of the fragility of life. And it's not surprising that they have that aesthetic in their culture, considering that they live in one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world. And I think that there's a connection here, and it's not just that their ceramics are broken in earthquakes, although that does happen. It's more to do with a geocultural connection, something that living in a very earthquake-prone area makes you want to persevere against the natural world and the forces that move through the natural world, be it through ceramic or through the earth. But the current problem we have isn't so much earthquakes, it's waste and obsolescence and landfill. And this is something that I deal with in my research. And it's a big problem, and of course recycling is one of the issues, but I'd like to propose that repair is actually much smarter than recycling, because it stops objects from going into a waste stream. And secondly, I think you can criticise recycling because it converts products back into a kind of virgin state from which you then make new products. And I also think that this reasserts the fetish for new products, which is a component of hyper-consumerism. So there's good technologies that have been developed. This is kind of a trivial example, but you have a missing wheel on your toy truck and you can 3D scan it, 3D print out a replacement, and that's quite neat. But I think the other problem is that, I'll just go back to that image, this is a response, it's a reactive response in the consumer sphere, or the post-consumer sphere if you prefer. It doesn't actually directly impact anything that producers are doing. And this is something I'd like to challenge. There's also, I think, a really great example here about how that can be challenged and how systems can be designed that incorporate repair. This is the Ise Jingu Shrine in Ise, in Japan, And it's fantastic because for 1,300 years they've been rebuilding it identically every 20 years. They're on their 64th iteration. They have a vacant lot next to the shrine, and then every 20 years they rebuild an identical copy, and then they pull down the old one. It's the world's best preserved ruin in a way. It's amazing. But this isn't particularly repair, I'm not saying it is, but what they do is that when they cut down the trees for the new buildings, they also take down the old building, and they send these beautiful 20-year-old tree trunks, which are still in fantastic condition, around to all the other shrines in Japan, and those shrines use it to repair those themselves. So repair is kind of brought into the system of production. Another nice example is the Djenne Mosque in Mali, which is a mud brick building, and mud brick buildings are somewhat fragile. They tend to dry out over the course of the year. But once a year the rains come and the rivers fill up with water, and the whole community gets together to repair and maintain this building by putting on fresh mud. So I think designers need to think more about the integration of repair into systems. This is an example in product design. It's an iron designed by a UK designer, which is basically designed to be repaired. It's made from a fewer number of components than conventional irons, and it's designed for disassembly and reassembly and for repair and for replacement of components. And I'd like to think that we could do more about that, but I think we're going backwards. I mean, this is a picture of a car engine 25, 30 years ago from the car engine manual. All the components are identified so you can maintain and repair your car. But when you look into a modern car, a contemporary one, you just see this black box engine. Very difficult to repair if it breaks down. You have to take it to the garage where it's plugged into a computer and digitally scanned. So we have this problem, black boxing they call it, engineers call it. We can't understand how to deal with our product. So when we're faced with a broken product, like a broken iPhone, we have to question, can I repair this? Do I have the facilities, the tools, the know-how to repair this? Or do I try and throw it away or send it away to someone else and then replace it? And that's the challenge, is how do we construct that so that the potential for repair is embedded into other objects so that we understand we can repair things. So very briefly, I'd like to talk about one of my projects that tries to do this and also tries to blur the distinction between repair in the consumption field or in the production field. This is a Zerol ice cream scoop. Fantastic design, originally made by Sherman L. Kelly in 1935. Here's some ones made by other companies. He noticed that ice cream parlor workers were getting repetitive strain injuries from using mechanical ice cream scoops. So he designed this single-piece aluminium ice cream scoop with a thermoconductive liquid in the handle, and it just conducts heat from the hand through to the scoop blade, so that the scoop blade sort of glides effortlessly through the ice cream and then releases the ice cream after. So it's a really neat design, and obviously very old now. But I thought, if it's designed with aluminium as a thermoconductive metal, and it is a quite a thermoconductive metal, why not make it with a more thermoconductive metal? There is a few. I mean, silver is one, and copper is another, pure copper. So I decided to make it in pure copper. It's quite hard to do, but I eventually got back some casts from the factory that agreed to do it. But of course, casting pure copper is really, really tricky. It doesn't cast well like copper alloys like bronze and brass, and it was a failure. They sent it to me anyway, and I was like, fantastic. So now I can start repairing it. So basically that required recoating and filling in all the damages and flaws with either epoxy resin or I did another version out of tin. Refilling it, the cast had collapsed in the mold, so I had to hollow it out again, make end caps, and I was able to turn that into that, which is a perfectly functioning ice cream scoop that works as good as, if not better, than the Sherman L. Kelly design. And it has a thermoconductive fluid in the handle as well. It's a bit heavier, but that gives it a nice amount of weight. Here's another picture, and I just want to talk about this picture because what I'm trying to do here is embed the presentation of repair and aesthetic of repair into something that can actually be purchased as a new object. So the idea is that you're using this object, and even before it breaks, the concept of repair is pregnant in your mind. It's kind of like an idea to introduce it psychologically to a user or a consumer, so that when they're confronted with broken things at other times in their lives, they think, hey, maybe I can repair this. And I guess just to close, I'll show this really neat picture from Anna Tahar, a Dutch designer, and just sort of reiterate this idea of transformative repair. So the question is, how can we repair objects that not only restores function but transforms the aesthetics of the product, and in doing so make them more interesting and more beautiful. Thanks.